They're like, oh, you open your eyes and they're like 20. And I'm like, nah, man, still 4.
Still four.
I still have a
Still in
4-year-old.
diapers. Oh Lord.
Literally. I can't. It's just time is very slow. It's like I'm aging very quickly, but they're not. So it's like a very unfair situation in this house. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Love SND podcast. I am Dipti, your host, and I am joined by the elders, Sheena and Nina.
Hi, everybody.
Hi guys. The
All right.
elders. What? Relax.
That's who
Aunties.
you are.
The aunties.
That's actually what my friends call you guys, the oldies or the elders.
Oh my.
We just talked about this. If she's 40, we're ancient at this point.
Okay.
Look at her face.
I mean, I
Sorry.
just made it.
It's okay. What did you say?
No,
What did you
dude.
say earlier today? The best decade
best
ever.
Oh, this was the best decade yet.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be called an elder in it. Jesus. Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
let's continue.
Well, this birthday was celebrated by the most epic surprise dinner.
The dinner is just every year. If you don't know this from my Instagram already, every birthday we all celebrate with the family. Like the birthday is with the family, and then everything else is like with friends and whoever. But we try to do the actual birthday with the family, all the kids, all of us. And it's mayhem, all 9 kids, all 6 adults, plus the grandparents. Like it's a lot
Yeah.
of craziness. But I think the evolution of how these dinners have been is just so interesting and different, right? Like
Yeah.
just the way the kids have grown through them and how we've grown through them, and like
Yeah.
our patience levels have grown through them. And I think a big one this dinner for me, at least, like because I called Nina right away. I was like, Nina, was it me? Was it me?
I think that what we noticed, particularly that night, but even over like the past year, which I think you're feeling too, it's just that they always want to be around you. They always want your attention and Sachin's attention, and kind of not knowing how to balance that. Okay, I need my space versus dealing with the tantrum of the attention seeking behavior.
Yeah.
So I think that's what that's where we were kind of going with today.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's that much of an issue with Diev on a day-to-day basis, because when we're home, I can spend a whole day without seeing him. He plays by himself. If he's bored, he'll just pick up a book and start reading, or he'll find things to do in the house, or he'll go outside and play. And he's very independent. I think on the birthday day, I think he just felt like, I don't know, it's my mommy's birthday and I want to be with her, and kind of like that. And that probably ended up showing more physically. And it's like, I'm not the like clingy type. If anybody is clingy to me, I find it very like cringy and annoying, and I need that space.
Do you
But-
think no part of you is clingy?
I am very physically affectionate. We've talked about this like with Naya, right? Naya loves to hug, and that affection is there. I am affectionate. I don't think that I physically cling to people, like physically need to touch people like constantly.
Yeah.
I find it very like, ugh.
Yeah, I think what we've learned as a whole is that, like, whether it be with the bigs or the littles, we need to definitely talk to them about personal space, being
Yeah.
other people's personal space and their own personal space, and how to have a healthy balance of it. I think that's something that we really need to tackle, especially at this young age, because it can just get worse as they get older. So, like, really, it's just a matter of digging into the why, and then that's
Yeah.
how we can fix the how, or what or whatever. But like the why is really what we need to dig into, and that's like where I have a hard time kind of wrapping my brain around it. Obviously I'm not a professional, so I have no idea where to even start. It just kind of comes from the top of my head. But I think it's really important to dig into that why. And I don't know if other people here have that kind of experience with their own kids that they want to share with us. Like, how do you tackle it?
Yeah.
How do you create these boundaries in a healthy way? Because at the end of the day, they're still your children, right? Like, you want to
Yeah.
give them those hugs and cuddles, and you want to be affectionate, but creating that healthy balance is where I think it's a little
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah, and I sometimes I equate it to, especially when they're home and they're doing it, because it's not like they're not in a safe environment or around safe people, or they have
Yeah.
that feeling of insecurity because they're at home.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes it turns into attention-seeking behavior too, right? One kid might see you overly involved with one of the other two, and they're like, "Well, I want that attention." And so
Yeah.
now they're all kind of competing for you to pay attention to them and what they're doing, whether it's in a negative or positive way, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, when you guys got home from the Diab's birthday trip, Zuri went upstairs and literally drew all over the wall with a crayon. And
Yeah.
it wasn't like a little scribble line. It was like big bubble letters
Yeah.
on the entire wall. And I called Dip just to check in and be like, "How was your trip?" And she's like, "Rah!" And I was like, "I'll call you
I
back."
was legitimately crying, like crying, crying.
So she was literally fuming, and I just hung up because I was like, "This is not the time to check in on the trip because clearly that's secondary to whatever's happening right now." And then I call her back like 10 minutes later, and she's like, "This is what happened." I was like, "Okay, well, this is fixable. This is nothing like earth shattering. Nobody got hurt." I was like, "Give her the magic eraser and tell her to go clean it." That's what I would do. That's what I've done in the past if that happened. So then maybe like an hour later, Dip sends a picture of her cleaning, quote unquote, cleaning the wall with the magic eraser, and Sachin's sitting there like right behind her. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, but that doesn't work because she won again, because even though she did a bad, unwanted behavior, she got undivided attention from her favorite person on the planet Earth,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
just spending one-on-one time with her.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if it wasn't like playing a game, she still had his undivided attention. So I think sometimes realizing the sub cues that are happening behind the attention or behavior are also super, super important, because if any of them are getting that attention, even in the negative way, they're still getting it.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good point
know.
because I think like even now that you're saying it and I'm thinking it through, when I have the issues with Cyan, he's getting all that attention from me
Hmm.
because he's not doing the work
Yeah.
instead of just being like, hey, figure it out. That's not going to work for us. You know, like it's like, here, let me help you study. Let me help you make the guided notes. Let me help you figure out how to understand what to do. You know, like it's still, it's the sub behavior of mine that he's
Yeah.
seeking probably. Remember, I was telling you, I was trying so hard to step away, but in stepping away, I'm stepping even closer because it's not improving on his own. So it's almost like he's not helping himself because he knows mommy's gonna help me, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is crazy.
With Callan, when we did that dance school, he wanted to be the teacher. Like he wanted to be lead. When we have people over the house, he'll play host. And I've explained this to his therapist. And I think when you have a therapist, it's so important that they understand your culture, right?
Yeah.
So like it's hard for me to even have those conversations with her. But again, like it's a process and I understand that. But yeah, so like I don't know what that is.
But I wonder, when you have people over and he feels this need to contribute, which is a great quality, right?
Yeah,
If you look at it from a parent's
100%.
point of view, it's a great quality. If he had more directed, like, "I need you to come up with 4 games for the kids. I
Yeah.
need you to set up this part of the house so that da 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 da." And
Yeah.
instead of him looking for opportunities, because you guys are probably in the kitchen setting up and putting things out and refilling and all of
Yeah.
that, if he had more guided sort of helper items to do, maybe that would distract him from wanting your role, because he wants to contribute and he
Yeah.
doesn't know any other way except for what
Yeah.
you're doing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
That is a good point. And that is something that like along those lines is what our therapist also said, that he just needs like more direction and more prep than your other kids who are able to like adjust easily. And he prefers to be with the adults as opposed to the kids. And she explained that, kids are unpredictable. And for an anxious person, that unpredictability is something that they'll stay far, far away from. So adults are very predictable, and you can literally predict what they're going to say, what their next move is going to be. There's no variation. So that's why anxious kids usually prefer to be around adults. which I'm okay with. Once she explained that to me, that made me feel more comfortable in that situation. But I think that like just like him wanting to take on these like adult roles, like sometimes he'll even discipline the kids, and I'm like, that is not your role. Like you have to
Yeah.
understand the parents are here to discipline. You are here as a child. There's a lot of role misconception in the house. Yeah.
Confusion, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's just he very much wants to be the person who's in charge, or he does love the attention, right? I mean, that's for sure.
100%.
And I think that just guiding him more productively, like give him harder tasks, things that
Yeah.
he's not going to be able to do in like a hot second, you know? Give him stuff that's a little bit more complicated, requires a little bit more thought. And maybe if he gets consumed in the thought process, he won't be all like, "Oh, I don't know, da, 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 I want to go
Yeah.
over there. I want to go over there." You know, it's more like, "Shit, I got to get this done. How am I going to get this done?" And it's don't come asking me how to get it done. Figure it out. Find 4 or 5 ways. Try to troubleshoot and come up with your own solutions before you come to me for help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think also he needs patience, which maybe I know I do, but you do, maybe you do too, Neen. We all lack as babes.
Yeah.
Oh
We
yeah.
lack patience.
Yeah.
And that's why I think such is a good medium there.
Yeah.
So, like Nina's saying, when you're giving him all of this, it's not about going from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. It's patience. Slow and steady wins the game. Because I know
Yeah.
you, and you're like, you'll say it once, you'll say it twice, and then you will be screaming it by the third time. There's no let me take a step for a second. You'll be screaming
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
lunatic by the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when shit hits the fan, everybody's off their rails, and then those are when the tantrums happen, and when, maybe the habits and behaviors get worse because of that, especially because sometimes I know I do, and I'm sure Nina does too sometimes, but I forget they're still young. They're not babies where they don't understand, but they're still young. So they're still
Yeah.
working through all those feelings and those emotions. Whereas mine are so much older that they've worked through that. And so now they're like, Ma, you need to take a minute and just calm down, I think. Whereas yours don't. Yours don't.
Oh.
Today, Cyan was like, "Mom, you need to stop crashing out like Saquon." I'm like, I'm not crashing out, but I am crashing out.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I think all the bigs have that maturity at this point to be like, you need to just chill for a second. We know your tendencies and we know your power, but the littles don't have that maturity yet. Nessa
Yeah.
does, I think. Nessa does, but
But she
like at
has
least.
2 older
But she has
sisters,
2 older
so
sisters,
to
exactly, that she
emulate.
learns
Yeah.
from. These littles like don't have that maturity yet, and they don't see it from each other yet either, right? To
Yeah.
be like, let me follow suit like Nessa does. So that's another area where you could probably improve on your communication to
Ugh.
help
But it's
him.
so hard.
It's
It is
so like the
so
hardest
damn
thing.
hard.
It is the hardest
Honestly,
thing.
it's even harder because we do have the bigs, and I see
Yeah.
what these kids could be. And like in my head, I know that my kids are a lot younger, but
Yeah.
still, we're
I
all
know.
the same blood.
I know.
And they should, like, in my mind, Diav and Nessa are light years apart. Light
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And Diav's older. Like,
Yeah. I think also like Sammy and I were talking about it because this is like a family issue at this point. We're
it
like,
is a
what is
family
everybody?
issue.
Everything
What are
in
we
our
doing?
families is a
What are we
family
doing?
issue.
Like
Everything is a family
everybody's
issue.
hands on. Everybody's like, what's the solution here? Like someone come up with a solution. But when we were talking about it, we were saying, and I was telling Nina this too, when the bigs were little, they were disciplined. Like they got smacked if there were tantrums like this, like, or it, not necessarily like drawing on the wall. Those are all like little problems, right? But like behavioral tantrums or like just like ridiculousness, they got a little spanking. You
Yeah.
guys are a lot less disciplined than we were. Like even Sammy was like, I would yell at them, and when I yell, my voice is loud, right? So you're kind of scared.
Yeah.
So, but like they don't get that from you guys, especially Sachin, because Sachin doesn't yell. You can't pay him to yell at their kids. He's
Yeah.
very even keel. He is very patient. He's very chill. He won't lose his shit like we
Until
all
he
did.
loses his shit.
Hey,
And but even
yeah,
then,
he
it's like
does.
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
time. He
Yes.
did it one time in
And the
the
kids will
entirety.
straighten up real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like it
And like when
needs
he
to be
does,
like
it's they
con
know it's serious.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like is there an age where we're past that? Like the discipline isn't gonna work anymore. Now it's gotta be like
12.
okay.
That's the
I,
definitive number. I have till 12.
you have till 12 to build
Oh
their
my God.
values and let them know expectations, and then they're their friends.
Yeah.
You're handing them
Ugh.
off to the wolves, which are their friends.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Yeah.
Oh my
You have till
God.
12. That's what most people say. Ah, that's not research science based. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that for everybody who I've come into contact with that has dealt with anything related to the way kids decision make and troubleshoot and all of that, it's what you give them until they're 12. I don't
Yeah.
know why it's 12, but it's 12.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you've got time, but not
You
that
got 2
much.
years.
Yeah.
Get on it. Do you think
Yeah.
that if you gave them more complicated responsibilities of your home in home life, because
Yeah.
you can't do so much outside yet, they're too young,
Yeah.
but it really goes a long way. It really goes a long
You
way.
know, somebody told us that starting to leave them home by themselves is a huge responsibility and it makes them mature very quickly. It makes them appreciate the fact that you're giving them this enormous responsibility. And I'm not saying I'm leaving Diev at home with Zuri and Callan, but if we have to pick Zuri up from school, there may be an overlap where Diev comes home for 5 minutes and we're not there. And those 5 minutes are big for him in that I'm home by myself. I need to make sure everything is good and I lock the door and this and that. But somebody was saying that. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to leave Diev home by himself. My man takes a spray paint bottle, shakes it up, and spray paints all the brick outside of our garage. Bright gold. Okay? I was in the neighborhood. I was not far.
Like what? So what triggered him
What?
to do that?
Yeah,
I'm so curious.
I know. Like, what was the reason?
I'm
I
bored.
literally was like, why did you do that? Well, first of all, I lost my shit. And like when I tell you I lost my shit, I
Shocker.
lost
Like,
my shit.
no, stop it. If you lost your shit, stop it.
Oh my lord.
But I was like, what were you thinking? What was going on in your brain that you thought this would be a good idea? And he goes, I literally was not thinking at all. I had no words in my brain at all. I wasn't
Like,
thinking.
was he bored? What did he want something to do? Like,
He was like, no, because he was playing basketball. I was like, Dia, you're playing basketball. You're good. If you scream, I'll be able to hear you. So, just stay outside here and I'm going to go for a walk. And he spray paints the brick.
wait, also, really quick, you can't leave him alone outside. Someone could just grab him, kidnap him, and be gone in 2 seconds. Like,
Relax, guys.
like
They'll
I
give
don't
him
even
back
know.
real quick. Don't worry. Be like, this is what he's capable of.
I'm
He
going to
was
send
left unattended for 2 minutes.
I'm going to send our therapist that one line that Sheena just said because these are my anxieties that I have in life. And
No.
she's like, you have to think of the probability of that actually happening.
Yeah.
I know.
That
And
is
them actually
anxiety.
wanting these kids.
Yeah.
It's not
She's
about
like,
anxiety.
how many
it's
times
just
have you heard about a kid being abducted from their driveway in your town? I'm like, good point. But it only
Yeah.
takes one in my mind.
I don't
It
know.
won't be yours.
I'm not
Yeah,
sold.
I don't think
I'm not
anybody wants
sold.
my kids. But that's what I mean in that my kids just refuse to mature. I literally left him alone for maybe 7 minutes and he took spray paint and painted our
I
brick.
think an idea would be to put them in team sports instead of individual, like more dramatic team sports where you actually have to work and
Like field
communicate
hockey
and yeah,
or
feel
something that
accomplished,
requires.
more of an adrenaline rush.
Cal is
I
not
think
into
I
team
think
sports at all.
they just need to be challenged more. Does that make sense? Not with routine stuff like homework and reading
Yeah.
and boring stuff that all these kids do anyway, but
Yeah.
more difficult problem solving so that they can mature, right?
Yeah.
If they're forced to think of stuff that's beyond their years,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do they go on the phone and order your takeout or put together the gifts for the male ladies around the holidays, or anything that requires thought outside of their must do
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
school requires me to do these things, you know?
Yeah.
Also, and just like even when I said the sports thing, just being around other kids their age with different maturity levels
Yeah.
brings out a different side of them too. You know, these team sports, and I'm just using like soccer and basketball as an example because that's what we do, but it makes you a little more driven and competitive, which brings out a maturity in you.
Dia is heavily involved in sports. He does everything. He does flag football and basketball and baseball and all that. He does all of it. I don't know. Maybe one day it'll click and he'll realize that, he's the eldest. Because he can be that kid, right? Like he packs their lunches every day. He like does all that. So he's like he can be that kid. He just can't be it consistently like your kids.
But
Our
our
kids are
kids are
older
like
too.
a lot
Yeah.
older.
Yeah, they're
So
Yeah.
older.
that's like an unfair
Yeah, yeah,
comparison
yeah.
too
Yeah.
for him.
She
But
just wants to go from like 10 to 15
yeah, or maybe even
Yeah.
21.
10, 21 would be great.
out the house on your own.
Oh, Lord, are you
You're
getting
gonna miss
married?
it.
Okay,
You're
great.
gonna miss it when they're 21. You're like,
Everybody
damn it.
keeps saying that. Literally, they're like, "Oh, you open your eyes and they're like 20." And I'm like, "Nah, man. Still 4."
Still four.
I still have a 4-year
Still in
old.
diapers. Oh, Lord.
Literally. I can't. It's just time is very slow. It's like I'm aging very quickly, but they're not. So it's like a very unfair situation in this house.
It's gonna be fine. I think the more people you talk to and the more experiences people share. So if you guys are
Yeah.
in a boat similar to this,
Yeah, for
please share
real.
experience.
Please
Our girl
share.
needs
Please
help
share.
here. We all
Please.
do. It's a
Yeah.
team
Please.
effort.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about it because, we can't be the only ones in this boat, right? So
100%.
tell us
And this
more.
Yeah.
is
Tell
like
us your experience.
we're 3 minds together and we still can't come up with solutions. Like we really need help.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
All
sure.
right, guys. Well, like Sheen said, if you have any advice to give, we are all ears because we are always looking for better ways to parent. I know none of us have this figured out, but if we have tips and tricks, then, please
Yeah.
share.
And it takes a village. So
It does
welcome
indeed.
to our village.
Yep. You can catch us on YouTube where you can watch. You can also listen to us on Spotify and chat with us on Instagram where we're checking our DMs and doing all that good stuff. As always, thanks for listening. With love, S&D.
Bye.
Bye.